From AM 1680, this is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. And now, here's your host, Lance Cardoza.
Hello, everybody. Whoa, we blew you out of the water there. There's always something. This is what happens when you do live radio.
You got to just adjust. You just got to adjust.
You do all the preparation, you get everything ready, and then everybody scrambles right when the red light comes on. It always happens. And then they want me to press the buttons. So we're Business Leaders Live as we get all rattled here with Talk Radio 1680 KGED every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And you hear a little giggling in the background, Jeremy Schultz. Jeremy, thank you for being on the program. And you are with Four Creeks Creative.
Correct.
And I know you from your passion for soccer and youth soccer and being involved in really the driving force behind the Fresno Fuego. And you're passionate about young people playing sports, and I think the business of soccer was a big thing for you and your sort of development in your career.
Absolutely.
And still is today.
Correct.
And now working with a marketing company, Four Creeks Creative, and I understand working in sports marketing.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, first and foremost, thanks for having me today. I know we've tried to connect a few times to get on the show, and the timing was perfect today, so I'm glad to be here. For me, Lance, I just got a ton of respect for you and all that you've done in this community. And, I've looked at things as everybody kind of has their time to carry the torch, and soccer was kind of my platform to connect with this community. And I was blessed. I was so fortunate to really get into the trenches of the development of the game. It started with the youth and really gave me a platform to kind of speak my story and kind of play out my vision that led into the Fresno Fuego, and then obviously went from the Fuego, which was an amateur level, into the pro level with Fresno FC. And I think this community, this diverse community that we live in, has just really thrived and embraced soccer. And so it's been exciting, because what it did for me is it connected me to all the business leaders of the Valley, not just Fresno, but throughout the whole Valley, and really gave me a chance to grow as a person in business and in soccer. So
and in soccer must have been something very important to you as a young guy, and we'll get into that. We'll talk a little more about that. But you were in our 40 under 40.
Correct. 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
And I was hoping you were going to mention it, because I'm thinking I can't remember all the years these
I don't
people.
expect you to.
So you're in our 40 under 40, and did you barely make it?
I did. It was my threshold year. That's correct. It was my threshold year. Someone felt sorry for me in the community and said, "This guy better get in this year. He's going to miss out." So,
so you get in the 40 under 40. Business Street's 40 under 40, and we're getting ready to announce the class of 2019. All the nominations are in, and that's getting ready to happen any minute now.
That's awesome.
And we'll have the class of 2019 on December 5th down at Chachansey Park this year. In the
cool.
Kodiak Club. It's coming back.
Awesome.
And we're going to have it up in the Kodiak Club. Thanks to Derek Franks and the Fresno Grizzlies and their community events that they're always trying to put on there at the stadium. So when you grew up in Visalia. I didn't know that. Or you didn't grow up in Visalia, but you were born in Visalia.
That's correct. Yeah. So my life has really come full circle. So was born in Visalia, California, lived there for a short period of time, about 3 to 4 years when I was a baby. And then I moved up to Madera, California, went to elementary school, first year of high school, and then migrated into Fresno, graduated from Hoover High School. So I've really kind of been in the some of the major hubs of the Valley as I grew up. And to me, it's been a benefit, because in my position as, somewhat of a leader in the soccer community, I've been able to make friends along the way. And so lived in Visalia a total of 14 years now, because I've been living there again for a year. Met my wife there, and so July of 2018, we moved out of Fresno and back to Visalia, and to be close to her family, and I still have some family over there as well. So it was a good transition move for me and the family.
And a full circle event coming back to Visalia. So what originally brought the family outside of Visalia and went to Madera?
Yeah, it was work with my dad. My dad worked up and down the valley, and so he was working for Georgia Pacific at the time, and so they have a plant there in in Madera, and so instead of him having to commute from Visalia to Madera, we went ahead and made the move.
Move up there. So, and how long were you in Madera?
Gosh, I was in Madera from first grade to ninth grade, so about 8-9 years. We actually commuted for the very first part of my transition to Fresno, and then my parents actually bought a condominium in Fresno so that I could be stationed there and go to Hoover High School. Soccer, even back then, had an impact on my life because I was playing club soccer in Fresno while I was living in Madera, met all of my kind of nucleus of friends that were very passionate about the game. Yeah. And that was really the driving force to come to Fresno. My parents actually continued to work in Madera, and we moved to Fresno so that I could go to Hoover High and be closer to all my club activities.
So in Madera, did you play youth soccer there? I did. Sort of at that young age that you bit the bug. Big athletic community in Madera.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of kids out of Madera that are playing sports, and pretty good ones too.
There's a lot of talent over there.
A lot of talent. And so you come out of Madera, you come into Fresno, and you're playing Hoover High. At what point there's a big gap there? At what point do you find that that love of being in the business of soccer?
I can identify it clearly. When I was 13 years old, going into 8th grade, was very fortunate to be chosen in an organization called Team USA. It wasn't necessarily a national team program through our U.S. Soccer Federation, but it was like a touring organization that identified elite level players, and I represented all of the Western United States, was selected for the team. It was pretty pricey. My parents had to pay the money for me to get the plane flights and so on and so forth, but traveled to Europe and played in the Holland Cup. I played in the Dana Cup, and I played in the Gothia Cup. We trained in Holland with Ajax, and at that point, at 13 years old, I knew that soccer was going to be a heavy influence in my life. I played all different sports growing up. I was a baseball player. I was a football player, American football player. I swam, played basketball, did a little bit of everything. But soccer somehow just really pulled on my heartstrings, and I felt free when I was on the field. That creativity of the game and the passion that that was just different. It was something different about the game. And so really from that situation or that experience moving forward, I just started focusing strictly on soccer.
And I think at 13 years old and you get to travel the world.
Yeah.
And that's a bug that's going to bite you. And when you look at soccer or football as a world sport in a big way, and you go and you see those communities, how passionate and how many people come out to those events, that probably helped.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience for me. What's funny is I was 13, and at that time we didn't have like cell phones and international ability outside of like international calls on a payphone.
Yeah.
And it was kind of challenging when you're 13 years old to figure out the 0, 1, all these numbers, right? So I went 32 days in Europe without talking to my mother. So my mother literally hated that trip.
She hated it.
I couldn't figure out how to get through on the international call.
She's probably stressing out. There was no email. There was nothing.
Yeah, she was not happy that one of the coaches or chaperones didn't help me, and I probably didn't say, hey, I need help with this. I just, I'll call her tomorrow. Call her tomorrow. So it was quite.
I'll see her when I get home.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to experience that. That's incredible. So with that, you end up playing professionally after that point at 13 years old and getting into the sport and actually working in that sport that you love in business.
Yep.
When we come back from the break, I want to talk a little more about that, and then talk about where you are today and what you're doing with Four Creeks Creative and working in sports marketing today and helping those companies and businesses alike. Jeremy Schultz in the studio right here at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. And if you want to join us on Facebook Live, you go to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. And if you go to the beginning, you can watch the fiasco of how we started the show today with everybody scrambling like crazy, running around the studio. That's the fun part of watching a live event, when you can go on Facebook Live and see all the craziness. So you're listening on the radio and you're going, what's going on down there? You can catch it live by going down and watching it at Facebook, Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We'll be right back with Jeremy Schultz with Four Creeks Creative and your passion for soccer and soccer youth still working today. We'll be right back. All right, Facebook. Oh, we bumped off Facebook Live. Or no, we're still there.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, we get it figured out. No, you took the screen off. So for the whole month, so Mom was ready to kill you.
Oh yeah. It wasn't real good. I mean, I flew in and out of San Francisco.
We're good. I saw the screen change and I thought it died. Yeah.
I flew in and out of San Francisco International Airport.
Yeah.
And, she was like, make sure when you get there, you call me. I want to make sure you got there safe. And it didn't go over real well. But once I got home, the nice, comforting hug was, everything was good from there. But she did remind me. 32 days, Jeremy, without a phone call?
Really?
Like, how did you... And I was so just ingrained in soccer and the training and everything was going on that the trip flew by, and poor Mom was sitting at home just waiting to hear from me.
I'm sure she still gives you hell over that.
She does.
She does.
Yeah. So
when we're on the radio, try to watch from hitting the... because it was making a bump sound. Okay. Yeah. He would look every once in a while.
I'm a mover.
I know.
Talk
I do
with
the
my
same.
hands.
That's why I can pull mine back. I'll do the same thing. Alan Autry taught, because we work in AV a lot and stuff, and we would have a gooseneck mic on the mics when he would talk, or different people, because he would hit the podium.
Yeah.
And I remember he started to, and I don't know, was it I started that or something, but he had to where he'd grab the corner of the podium and the bottom of the podium, and he would steady himself.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't move.
That's that. Yeah.
And he would talk there, brother. And he would hold the podium because, from people hitting it.
I'll keep that in mind if I keep.
Yeah. So if you ever see a microphone attached to the podium, you're speaking at a press conference, hold on to the podium.
Yeah.
Grab the front. Yeah. So he would do that every time. There's a lot of people in AV that don't realize if it's attached to the item. Yeah. No, we did a whole press conference.
That I'm from like soccer, this. So we're always drumming, we're chanting. That was part of the culture of the interview.
Yeah. I have never. I think I did one time before, went and got to watch soccer, but I'm so grilled in baseball and working with the Grizzlies, I never would get over on that side. And I had gone and watched Wednesday night.
Oh, the RGV game. Yeah, we won 5-0.
Yeah, it was just such a cool experience, and to watch them come marching in.
It's pretty cool.
And then the smoke bombs and all that stuff, and that got me. I had to move away from the smoke bombs.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Saturday they played Phoenix and beat Phoenix, which was on a 20-game win streak.
Really good.
Phoenix was 1, we were 2. We're still 2, but
we're coming back.
So, yeah.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back to the studios here at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I bring you business leaders live throughout the Valley and abroad. And also, you can go to our website at lancecardoza.com, and you can catch all the past episodes of Business Leaders Live. We've begun a little over 2 years of interviews and bringing in different business leaders right here in the studios at the Big Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Jeremy Schultz, a good friend. And Jeremy, you were class of 2015's Business Streets 40 Under 40.
Correct.
And we talked about it in the first segment where you barely slid in there. So you got in just barely. And now in Visalia, where you were born. And you come full circle, moved the family to Visalia, and you're working with Four Creeks Creative. And we talked a little bit about your youth and passion with soccer.
Yes.
And you still a lot of passion with soccer, still working with youth.
Yeah.
So that's sort of come full circle that you're still in the business and working with youth today.
Yeah, and as we talk a little bit about my current role with Four Creeks Creative, Fresno FC is actually still my account too. So I'm still involved with pro soccer here in Fresno, but I did when I moved back to Visalia, jump back in as club director of South Valley United, which is a youth club based out of Visalia. That I and a group of about 7 guys had started back in 2002. So it has come full circle. It's quite interesting how life sometimes does that. But my current role, I mean, I'm just so extremely blessed and to have an opportunity to work for a company like Four Creeks. Four Creeks is kind of our parent company, and they do engineering, surveying, planning, utilities. They're literally rebuilding so much of Visalia. The projects that they do are just amazing, and they have a marketing arm. And I was fortunate enough to get to know some of the people from Four Creeks, and a door opened for me to really be able to diversify my own portfolio. And it's been a little bit of an education process because everybody knows me strictly for soccer.
Yeah, you're the soccer guy.
Yeah, and so now I've really gotten to kind of open up my portfolio. I'm working with Visalia Rawhide, which is a single A baseball. They just won the California League.
I was going to say, yeah,
so
they just
pretty
won the
exciting.
California League. That was great.
First time in like 41 years. So it was like it was a really incredible feat for Jennifer Reynolds, the GM there, and her group.
That's a fun little club.
It is.
It is. I've gone there and had just a great time.
Visalia is a special place. I mean, it really is a special place. And I knew that. Like I said in the first segment, I've lived there for 14 years now in different parts and stages of my life. And the people there are just incredible people. They're very prideful in our community. And it shows, in the sporting environment, something we've been a part of for so long, and you connect with people in a different capacity, where the team truly survives in the pride of not just the club itself, but in the growth of the community. And I think they have a special thing down there in Visalia that is just exciting to be a part of. So
yeah, and they do, and it is a big sports town, just like Madera, Fresno. We have them all.
Yeah,
and it's I see a lot of times in business, someone that had a passion for sports or played in sports, it tends to be a big driver in their activity as management and
Absolutely.
leaders and future leaders.
Yeah.
And that competitive core.
Yeah.
And not to say that you have to play sports, but belong in some type of team environment,
Yeah.
a club, an organization. But sports is a big, it transcends beyond athletics on the field.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's a lot of principles that you kind of learn to engage in when you're a part of a team that really relates well to business and being able to manage people and find creative collaborations and so on and so forth. I mean, for me, I'm learning a lot right now because I've stepped out of kind of my comfort zone of soccer and in working with Four Creeks Creative and being a sports marketing consultation lead with the company. I'm working with everything from professional soccer and baseball to grassroots. I mean, South Valley is one of my accounts. Clovis Crossfire, another grassroots youth organization, is one of my accounts. High Performance Academy, which is individual and group training sessions in soccer, is one of my accounts. Granite Park is someone that I'm starting to work with Terrence, because I think that it's an incredible community asset that we have there.
Yeah.
And we have to find ways to connect our local businesses with the positive things that are going on around that park, providing green space and so on and so forth. They now have 10 acres of soccer fields there, which obviously was what kind of drew me in. Mm-hmm. And so actually this weekend, we're going to be launching some new signage and things out there on the park. And I've connected a few of my partners that I've worked with for many years to be a part of getting behind the movement on that park. So
good stuff. I know Terrence. Terrence is he's a big pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I've talked to him about it several times.
Yeah.
But he has passion to grow business.
Absolutely.
And every business person that is successful needs to focus on that. But that place was laying to waste, and to see where it's going today.
Yeah.
And there's it's clean activity. And kids are out there having a good time, and I think that's an important thing to embrace that, help grow that, and maintain that.
Absolutely,
it's very important. So, and one man can't do it alone.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of your own personal opinions of things, I mean, at the end of the day, I go out there and I see opportunity and I see potential that there's a lot of people going through those gates. I mean, there's a lot of softball activity and baseball activity that are beginning to get traction and take hold, but also on the other 10 acres now you have 4 full-size soccer fields where now you're having adult leagues out there. You have youth out there every single night. And so for me, as someone that cares about this community, I want to be a part of that. And I want to be a part of trying to find ways to create a sustainable model out there, because I think parks and that green space is, super important for the health of our community. Soccer in general, we have no green space.
I was going to say, where do you go play?
We literally, and thank goodness for partners like Clovis Unified, Fresno Unified, even the city, the city of Fresno, and the part, some of the fields aren't great that the kids play on. Clovis Unified works directly with a lot of the youth clubs that are based out of both Fresno and Clovis and provide some of that green space. But as youth sports is evolving, all sports are year round now, where it used to be seasonal.
Yeah.
And so soccer was probably one of the first that was going year round. And so we would have a lot more green space throughout the course of the year, except for like when baseball season was in place, then we would lose some of the interior fields. Yeah. Now baseball goes year round. American football plays year round. Everybody's playing year round. And so the green space has shrunk incredibly. And so when you see something like Granite Park open up where there's 10 acres of green space where we can provide these youth soccer players another facility for them to literally develop and learn the fundamentals of the game.
And
to me, it was important.
Play too.
And safe
play,
absolutely.
Because you can find any green field, and that's not safe play. A well taken care of field for a soccer player, you can really critical and really appreciate it too. Because I see guys that want to go out and play soccer. And they'll play anywhere.
We will.
They'll just play anywhere. But to have a safe place and to be able to go do that where it's maintained, and that's awesome, to be able to have that. And I think I agree with these communities. We need to be able to have more green space for things like that. So with Four Creeks, then your position, you're helping sports marketing with companies in the business, such as like Terrence, and finding a model that helps them market their product. And so that's what you're doing, and with FC and other organizations. Yeah.
So I mean, my position with Four Creeks Creative really has it's pretty diverse, really. I mean, my emphasis is sports marketing and consultation. I have 9 existing clients that I work with, and I call them partners. And then the clients are businesses throughout the community that I'm trying to utilize the platforms that I work with and connect some of those advertising and marketing dollars that they're spending in the community to connect them to my partners. And so, one of my main emphasis with Fresno FC and Fresno Fuego for many years was revenue generation and partnerships. And so I was very fortunate to meet a lot of community leaders and business owners and people that want to give back to the community in areas that have good synergies with their brand. And so really, like I said, it diversifies my portfolio, because now it's not just necessarily soccer. I'm still soccer heavy, but I have other accounts. Santiago Entertainment is one of my accounts, which is the Latin music concerts that are all over the valley. And so I have other platforms now that can connect these businesses to branding and marketing opportunities that I didn't have before, which is pretty exciting. And then what's funny is, we have a full service agency really with Four Creeks Creative. So we do website development, we do social media management, we do graphics, we do video renderings, we do photography, we do video. I mean, it is full service. And so what's amazing to me is I'm finding that as I go out and meet with people and talk with people, we're getting those ancillary business opportunities that people are like, oh, you do that too? And then I'll connect them to our team with Four Creeks Creative and provide an opportunity for them to have the social media management or build a website or, one of the many things that we provide. So it's pretty cool.
So I see your education. So you going into it's like a whole new thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the biggest challenge being in business today, and in this too, to where you're going in your 40s? I'm sure you're just a couple years
43,
over 40.
43. Yeah.
So, in a change in your life, and going in this new direction, and I always looked at when I got a job or working with a new client that I really didn't understand their business, I'm almost being paid to educate myself through the process.
Yeah.
Too, and it's a real life education to their world. What do you've experienced being in this? Because sports marketing, it's not far from what you've done before, but now you have a powerful team that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been fortunate always to have good people on the teams I work with. I mean, you mentioned Derek Franks earlier, and he's a good friend of mine, and I shared the office at Chuck Chancey Park for 10, 11 years with guys like that I've learned a lot from.
Yeah.
And I have an incredible team at Four Creeks Creative. I mean, incredibly talented guys in their points of emphasis that they work on. And what really drew me to Four Creeks was really the culture that business had. It's a lot of young, dynamic, entrepreneurial minded people that are go-getters, and they want to make a difference in our community. And so, as you know me, Lance, I'm kind of wired that same way. When we were with Fuego, we had the slogan of For City and Club, and it wasn't just about the growth of the club, but it was about doing something in our community that made a difference. And so I connected with the people at Four Creeks right away because I think that they had those same visions, same vision for the communities they work in. And it's been an educational process for me in terms of having different capacities that I have to put energy and effort into. But I think that the fundamental stuff that I had learned through my experience with soccer has really allowed me to connect. And I'm a relationship type of business guy. I'm not very good at coming into an office and being too salesy. I mean, I want to be transparent. I want to say, I believe in this project that I'm working with, and I would love to have you be a part of it. And if they show me signs with body language of no interest, or they just say, no, I'm not going to pester and hound, and I'm going to move on to the next person. That's just I've always been a business guy that is strictly built on relationships.
And putting partnerships together.
Absolutely.
And that's, in my experiences with you, I've noticed that about you and everybody that works around you. So I'm sure everything that you're doing with Four Creeks, they're really enjoying it. There's more to come. Don't go away, Jeremy. We'll be right back. We're going to talk a little more about Jeremy's career in soccer and now work in sports marketing with Four Creeks right here with Business Leaders Live. Let me answer this text real quick. I've got my phone is blowing up.
Doesn't surprise me, Lance. Doesn't surprise me.
Let me make sure you got. Sorry, Facebook Live. Got to take care of business. It's funny. People know that I'm on the radio, the ones that text me.
Yeah.
And they figure he's on the radio. Text him right now. Yeah, we've got one of our clients is the Fresno Economic Development Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with economic developments corporations throughout the state on different projects and events. And Fresno EDC, we do their big events every year. And this year we're doing one at Chachansey Park over at the Cantina with Steve Garvey. So Steve Garvey's coming in to speak on October 30th. And it's to their members only. So it's a members only luncheon. And so we're doing a cover shoot today out at the park.
Oh, nice.
It's all baseball themed and everything. And I believe there's a soccer field on the ground.
So
it's going to be interesting. We're
Since
going to use the dugout.
Since baseball is done, since Wednesday, it's staying in.
It's staying in,
That's a heavy cost conversion. So once baseball ends. The last, every other year of since the Giants were the partner, they've gone so far in the playoffs that the baseball diamond itself has to stay longer. So the soccer, we love the Grizzlies. There's without the Grizzlies, there wouldn't be soccer where it is today, in my personal opinion. I just think that they've been a great partner of of the community and the growth of soccer. So we would never complain about that, but we do as soccer people, like, all right, they're done. Now we can leave the soccer pitch in. So
did you ever know John Carberry?
I had met him a couple times just through business stuff, but not on a personal level.
Oh,
no.
okay. Yeah, he just recently passed. We had his funeral, and I was real close with John and Diane, and I really didn't know. I knew he had earthquakes.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he was the first guy to paint the field.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that wasn't allowed.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll tell some of these stories on the air here in a bit, but he had he wanted white shoes, and the players didn't want to play with white shoes, black shoes. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you some funny stories about that real quick. You'll appreciate
funny.
it. But he was a maverick. I mean, he just did things the way he wanted to do it because he wanted to get marketing out of it. Yeah. Everybody would write about it.
Giving you the inside story of business leaders in the Valley and beyond. This is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody, to Business Leaders Live. Sitting here with Jeremy Schultz. And Jeremy with Four Creeks Creative. We were just talking here on Facebook Live at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We were talking about John Carberry, and we were talking about without the Grizzlies. And every time I hear the word Grizzlies, I can't help to just think about John having the tenacity to stay focused and
pioneer.
Get this thing built. And which was a big controversial, the big green cathedral. But what a crown jewel we have in downtown Fresno, and at a time when downtown Fresno is really making that big turn. And like you said, he was the pioneer with arrows in his back, and he pulled it off, and he did it, and thankfully he did. I mean, this new ownership with the Grizzlies have really done some capital improvement to turn that stadium into it's really a cool spot to come enjoy a baseball game, a soccer game, a Santion concert, a Light the Night Walk. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's many events in that stadium.
It is certainly a community destination point that I hope just continues to trend upward for for the community in general. And we were talking a little bit during the break about the fact that soccer is where it is now because of the partnership of the Fresno Grizzlies and the city of Fresno, and really providing us a stage to build soccer. We've played in high school venues. We've had to set things up in parks and so on and so forth. But until you get inside of a venue like that, where you have 33 suites and a jumbotron and a PA system that kind of makes you feel it in your soul, and the music and the way the players appreciate it. In our Fresno Fuego days, it was sometimes hard, once we were there for 3 or 4 years, because the opposing teams were so excited about playing in a venue like that, that they would be amped and energetic, and their adrenaline would be pumped, where our guys are like, we're used to this, so
this is home.
So, me personally, on a personal note, I'm just super grateful and gracious to the Grizzlies for providing that platform for us to really build soccer in our community.
During the break, I was asking if you ever had a chance to meet John Carberry, and you said a couple times at business functions, but I was pretty close to John and Diane, and I was talking to his sons during the funeral a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about he would send the kids into the locker room and spray paint their shoes, the soccer players. And I don't know if it was earthquakes or who it was, because John wanted white shoes. He wanted the team to stand out.
Okay.
And the rest of the league was like, no, you can't do white shoes. And he was like, no, we're going to do white shoes. And he would have his sons go steal their shoes, and the players would hide their shoes.
Oh, my God.
Because they didn't want white shoes. I can't be seen with white shoes.
That's hilarious.
It's black shoes. And John would say, go take their shoes. And they would go in the locker room, spray paint their shoes, polish them.
Oh, my God.
Yes, and send them back in there. So these
funny.
guys were freaked out that they were playing in white shoes. And I hope I'm getting the story right. And I think he was one of the first to create painting on the field, because it wasn't allowed. It just, you didn't paint on the field.
Yeah. I know there was, like, in the beginning years of Fuego, the baseball team, AAA baseball, didn't want those lines, and if you couldn't get rid of them between soccer and baseball, there would be some complaints. I don't know if there was fines included or what, but I know at times we were using chalk. Yeah, because we had to spray the chalk off before the next day when the Grizzlies would play. So
the deal.
I mean, we it's amazing to think how much work the ops guys and the groundskeepers and the guys behind the scenes that do such amazing work to flip that stadium from baseball to soccer to concerts to community events to, I mean, these guys are out there for many, many hours making sure that the stadium is ready to go for the next upcoming event.
And I don't think you probably weren't working at the stadium. And I talk about my daughters all the time on the show, Chloe and Zoe.
Yep.
But Zoe, she was a performer there at the stadium. She was one of our mascots, and Parker's Parker. But she was something else, and she is something else, that girl. But working up at Shaver Lake now with Southern California Edison and Vermilion, and at a young age in the forestry division, she always wanted to work in forestry.
I ran into her because I was out camping at Edison. Yeah,
it was
Zoe.
Did.
Yeah, I ran into her.
Into Zoe. So Zoe, she's a powerhouse. But Jeff Little and her, and those two sections in right field and left field, they tore all those seats out.
Yep.
So they can build the Fresno Social, which is an incredible bar that overlooks the left field side, which is great. You can sit up at the bar and have plasma screen TVs, and you see the visiting pitchers right below you, and I'm sure they're getting heckled all night. And then on the other side, the little kids have the splash park. And the splash park over there, which is awesome. Zoe, when she sees that, she's like, wow, that's nice, but I still have PTSD from those chairs. Because her and Jeff Little, which is a hard worker. When you talk about ops, you look at these people that really go in there and bust their butt. But Zoe and him, they went in there, a couple other people, and they tore them out. They'd load them on the little utility cart, haul those big heavy chairs out, go back in, tear them out.
Some labor.
She was like, it wasn't fun, but we got it done.
And hopefully that sweat equity that they put in, they can look at the projects that are there now and see what a difference they made.
And vision what was going to happen. I don't think they really cared then.
I'm sure they didn't.
They were just
I'm sure
up.
they didn't.
But Jeff had said, man, if I ever own a business and I'm whatever, if I'm going to hire somebody, Zoe's the first person I'm hiring. And then David down there, the landscaper, had said, I like working next to her because she's like, she works aggressive, like she gets it done, but I feel like I'm a slacker.
She pushes everybody else to go.
But they're it's a lot of work when you're turning over from an event to an event, and you got these concerts coming up. Santian's got a concert coming up, that it's constantly a turnover. And Sean and his group down there do such a great job, and Stephen, it's a lot of work.
It's
a lot of work.
And
there's more events down there than what people really know. So the community events, part of the commitment, they were saying the love of the Grizzlies, this new ownership was very smart into doing all nonprofits use the stadium for free. So they have 300 plus events, I'm sure, the first year they did it, just offering it to nonprofits. So it's really used quite a bit for everything you can imagine. So in your experience working with them and doing that, today's job, I'm sure, is a lot more less labor intensive. Probably you get to sleep a little bit at night and be creative. Think about tomorrow a little bit.
I think there's different. I mean, in sports, the grind of sports is obviously it feels like it's nonstop, and there's certain periods of the season that are you don't sleep and then you catch up in the off season. But for me now, it's like there's different levels of stresses and anxieties because it is a little bit of a new space. And the truth is, a company like Four Creeks, who really has invested in me as a person to go out and kind of develop this arm of the company, you want to make sure, you know how I'm wired, Lance. Like it's not necessarily the fear of failure, but it's almost, it's funny because I talk about this about the people of the Valley. We're blue collar, hardworking, prideful of what we accomplish. And you kind of wear that when you come into something new. You think about the people that have stuck their neck out for you and have truly invested in this opportunity for me. And it's like, okay, I got to hit my benchmarks. I got to get to the thresholds that I want to get to in 6 months, in a year, and really build the foundation of a long-term future of something new. And so you kind of, you hit certain goals and you're really happy, and then maybe you miss a couple and you're like, oh man, how do I make that up and get back there? But it's just like any business. I think anybody that operates a business, you have this vision, you have these benchmarks, you have these thresholds that you have to hit in order to create sustainability and long-term growth. And people that are wired to own businesses, that stuff weighs heavy in the successes and the failures of that the timeline and that growth. So
and a little bit of butterflies and anxiety is very important. Every time you walk into a meeting, or if the best performers in the world get a little bit of butterflies, a little anxiety. The players,
Absolutely.
you get a little bit. When you get comfortable and you're just comfortable with it, that's when things go wrong. That's when you're not on your toes and you're not ready to go. Your feet aren't planted solid. And I think that tends to you get complacent.
Absolutely.
And then you
can't get stagnant. You
have to feel a little something inside.
And I think that my new position has kind of reinvigorated myself of like, okay, this is cool. It's almost like a little bit new challenge that I haven't really been faced with, because with soccer I was in the same space for 15 years, and not that I was ever complacent or stagnant, because I always tried to achieve something different each year, but you do get in that little bit of comfort zone, and things become so consistent that it's like you're trying to find things that sometimes are a little bit unrealistic, if I'm honest. And so, for me, it's like this new space is something that's a challenge to me, that I want to find success in for the good of my company and the good of my family and all those things. And the truth is, as you know, and I'm sure you've got these things going on, we always have a vision of what's next. And not in the sense of leaving what I'm in, but there's always new opportunities out there. And I'm in a new community now, not necessarily new, but I'm back in a community that I'm familiar with, and there's going to be some good things coming down there in Visalia. Just I would say stay tuned. So
stay tuned. Good. Awesome stuff. And I think when you have that entrepreneurial mind, it doesn't matter what company you work for. When I worked for big corporations, I felt like I still owned a piece of this, and I owned my position. And my position, I guarded it and I took care of it. I made sure I did well by it. But when you do get into that, you're not being creative or thinking about what's in the future, it tends to, you get that entrepreneurial seizure, and you're stuck and you're not sure what to do next. And it's great when you have a great team like what you have too, because when that's a tough part of an entrepreneur, that sometimes it's you. And you're stuck there trying to figure out until you talk to other entrepreneurs, or you talk to a team of creative people and you realize you got an incredible team behind you. And you can do these things that maybe you're not good at it, but you have a person behind you.
You got the complementary staff to get things done. And that's where I'm at right now. I mean, you look at Four Creeks and the things that they're doing in Visalia in the South Valley area. And we have offices. We have an office in downtown Fresno. We have an office in San Luis Obispo, Porterville, Bakersfield, and Visalia. Visalia is our headquarters. But Matt Ainley, for instance, one of our principal owners, is building a boutique hotel in the old courthouse of Visalia. It's incredible. It's
awesome
incredible
stuff. Let's talk a little bit about that. And I want to talk a little bit about Visalia too. It's a great little town, and it's become a little town. It's a big city. We'll be right back here with Business Leaders Live. We're with Jeremy Schultz here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Facebook Live. I haven't been able to get to your questions. Somebody, Tracy Hines. You know Tracy Hines?
Hi, Tracy.
Tracy says, awesome. Looks like you guys got a shadow banned. Sorry, they won't. I have no idea what she's saying. Daisy, how are you? We have some people here with on the Talk Radio 1680 KGED. I got to make sure I share it too. You can share it by going to their site. Oh, that's right. You're not on social.
Well, I've taken a little bit of a break recently, so we're going to be engaging again soon. But I've posted a couple small things family related, but haven't been too active on social lately.
I have some friends of mine are over in Italy from Executive Interiors, Tim and Jamie Russell, and I'm sure Tim is bored and he's watching right now. So Tim, that one's for you. My mom is watching, so I know what she's thinking right now. She's thinking, cut your hair, kid. It's getting out of control. I love to joke with Mom. Mom's got it made. I talk about Mom on the show. Mom worked for the military.
Nice.
And
thank you.
She busted her butt and lived well below her means. Lost my dad at a young age. My dad, 52, 53. And she just kept working in the civil position out there with NAS Lemoore.
Mm-hmm.
Drove the same old beat up town car. And it was my grandmother's, passed on to her, and just did it until she retired. And then she sold her property. She got a big, huge, brand new fifth wheel, brand new loaded diesel, beautiful pickup.
Good for her.
And just took her one dog, and she hit the road.
Traveling a bit. Huh?
That's it.
That's
and
awesome.
She was going to travel the world. She's going to see the world. And I said, "Where are you going first, Mom?" She said, "Three Rivers."
It's beautiful up there, by the way.
She loved it. She loved it. I'm
beautiful.
Sure she's going to go back full circle. She's coming back to it already.
Wow.
She went from Three Rivers to Kingsburg, Riverland. Now she's at Wishon, so she's got way up there.
You said travel the world, right?
Yeah. So she's to Wishon. She's testing it out. Her excuse is the grandbabies. There's a couple grandbabies real little. She's staying closed for a little bit.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Be able to see the grandbabies and be with family for a little bit. But she's spreading her wings a little bit. I have a feeling she's going to fly the coop here soon. But it was funny as we built up to that day that she was going to pack up and haul off. She was going to just take her and her dog. And I kept thinking, "Mom, you got like 14 dogs." She's joking. I'm joking, Mom. Not 14, but she had plenty of dogs.
Yeah.
And I knew that, poor dogs, what are going to happen to these dogs?
Oh, no.
But she found them homes.
Oh,
She found them homes. But
that's good.
yeah. Okay, 1 second. We would talk about also, too, the South Valley president to the organization. We'll
Absolutely.
talk about that. That's a youth sport organization.
Yeah, it's
right?
a youth soccer club.
Youth soccer club.
Yep.
Facebook Live, you're probably wondering, we're getting ready to go live on the radio. Just a moment.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody, to Business Leaders Live. You can catch it every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., where I bring you another business leader live in the studio here at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. You can catch this episode and other episodes by going to lancecardoza.com. That's CARDOZA.com. And Jeremy Schultz in studio. Jeremy, business development for Four Creeks Creative. And then also still staying connected to soccer. You're the president of a youth league, correct?
Yeah,
in South Valley?
That's correct. Since moving back to Visalia, July of 2018, there was a youth club that myself and a group of about 6 or 7 other guys had started in 2002 called South Valley United. It's headquartered out of Visalia, but we have kids that come in from all over the Southern Valley, even as far as Bakersfield, that come in and be a part of the club. I decided to step back in. Really, I stepped in as trying to figure out ways to raise some money and do some things for them. And then as normal with me, the board was like, "Well, would you like to be the club director again?" And I said, "I don't know if I have time for that, but long story short, I am the club director and president of the organization again." So, and I have truly enjoyed it. I mean, for me, coming from the professional game, going back to the grassroots of the game, it's in its rawest form. I actually coached my daughter's team, which is a 2011 girls team. Cool. So they're 7 and 8 year old girls that play soccer, and it's the most rewarding part of the game. Really, is to give back to the kids and just see the progression from 7 and 8 years old up to 15, 16 in those critical development years of exposure to help them get to the college level, and then nowadays having opportunities to sign pro contracts. So South Valley is a special club to me, something that I was a part of founding, and to still be a part of it 17 years later is pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. So you still staying connected to it, and being able to your daughters. And you get how many kids do you have?
I have three. I have three daughters.
Three daughters.
So
okay.
My wife and Sheree have 3 daughters. Yeah. So I have a senior at Redwood, Chloe.
Okay.
And she's a cross country runner. She won the league last year, first year at Redwood. Won the WIL. Runs track. My middle daughter's a freshman at Redwood, and she rides horses. So that's, speaking of new experiences for me, yeah. I know nothing about horses other than they're big, powerful animals, and my daughter rides them very quickly, and it makes me very nervous. And then
You've become your mom.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have an 8-year-old that's a 3rd grader at Denton Elementary, the new elementary school in Visalia, and she's my little soccer player. She is certainly my sidekick that I think has the passion for the game, much like her father.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And they're at that fun age too. They're all in that, and they're enjoying Visalia.
They are. Yeah. I mean, it was a tough transition, and we talked pretty extensively as a family before we made the move. We bought a house that's 9 houses down from my brother-in-law, my wife's sister, and so we knew that it was going to be a good transition of family for us, because they have kids as well that we're all close to, and so that in itself was really nice. But it was tough. It's tough for the kids who had grown up in Fresno and Clovis with their friends, and even though it's only 30 minutes to the south, it's a big move for them with school and all that stuff. So they've transitioned well and really have embraced the community of Visalia.
Awesome. Visalia and their downtown, their quaint downtown, beautiful little downtown. What's your favorite place to eat in Visalia? Because they have some great eateries.
What? There's so much that's wonderful there. I mean, to be honest, at Cafe 225, I don't know if you know, you've probably heard of it, but it actually experienced a fire probably about 8 months ago. So it's no longer open, or I don't know if they have plans to reopen, but currently it's not open. My wife and I love that place, but there's so many good places to eat in Visalia. Yeah. It's incredible. Their downtown is, when you say crown jewel with the stadium and all that here in downtown Fresno, the downtown of Visalia is just a special place. I mean, it's I think the city has done a really good job of maintaining that core and the hub of the city, and the way they've had growth in the quadrants of the city has really had a good balance, where downtown continues to be that hub that everybody comes to and enjoys their nighttime entertainment, their dates, all those things.
You can go to the theater and just walk down the street, and you can go to dinner. My wife and I, we haven't been down there in a long time, but we ate at almost felt like you were in the southern, you were in the bayou, what was Crawdaddy's.
Oh yeah, Crawdaddy's.
And eating upstairs, I believe.
It's a nice place.
It was very cool, and you didn't feel like you're in Visalia.
Yeah.
It was just cool experience downtown, and the Rawhide is not far off the beaten path from downtown. They're all in that cord area. Yep. Great downtown. But it's been that way for years. I grew up in Hanford, and Hanford, when you grew up there, when you went to the big city, you didn't go to Fresno. You went to Visalia. Yeah. That's funny that people that grew up in Hanford, they have a Costco, they have everything, but they still, when they go shopping, they go to Visalia. And then I wonder, you have that same store in Hanford. Yeah. They're just used to going to the big city.
It's the nightlife too. And I tell you, there's a nice culture in that downtown corridor, right through Main Street. There's a lot of different places where you can stop and have a drink and eat. And it's very, I mean, the people of Visalia are just friendly people by nature and welcoming. And so, I was the same way. Even when I was, here in Fresno, occasionally we'd go to Visalia just to go downtown, eat dinner. We'd visit, my brother-in-law and some of the family down there. But it was always a positive experience of going out down there. Rawhide sits to the west of downtown and really kind of creates that first stopping point as you go through the downtown area. And then I mentioned to you a little bit, Four Creeks, one of our principal partners, Matt Ainley and his group. They purchased the old courthouse building, the Tulare County Courthouse, in the middle of downtown, and they are redeveloping it and making a boutique hotel with a rooftop bar. So there is some incredible projects that are coming to downtown Visalia that I think people from all over really the world will probably that will be a destination point for them to stay before they go up into the parks and things like that.
Yeah.
To come visit Visalia. It's really, really special place.
How does somebody contact? We got about 30 seconds. How do they contact you and find you at Four Creeks?
So you can find us on fourcreeks.com. But for me in particular, it's Jeremy at 4cc.co. That's the best way to connect with me. So,
Jeremy
or any of my
Schultz.
social media handles. So,
Jeremy, thank you for being on the program Business Leaders Live. Next week, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I bring you a different business leader right here in the studios of Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Facebook Live, we didn't get to your questions. Yes, hi, Mom. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Perfect. That's all the time we have. We'll talk to you next week, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Facebook and also online. And Jeremy Schultz, say hi.
thank you.
Somebody's
Thanks,
saying
guys.
hi. I don't know who it is. Can't see.
Thank you. I'll jump on there in a little bit and check it out. So, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys.